And for some dough work, lots of fun. This recipe is a favorite of mine because I would normally buy these and they normally I'm going to restart that and they would normally cost $10 each. We're going to make a stack of these today and they're called Gozleme. So they're a beautiful bread type of filling that we're going to fill with cheese and meat and spices and all sorts of lovely things. But to get started, we'll go with weighing in 200 grams of milk. So you can see by the scales that have popped up, we've got that. And then we'll go with popping in 1 egg. And then we'll go with our next step, which is 40 grams of olive oil. We'll just weigh that in, like so. And then the next step is 150 grams of Greek yogurt going in, like that. Then next step is 2 teaspoons of yeast. 1, 2. Starting to look a little bit exciting inside the bowl. If you have a little peek, look at that. Okay, so the lid goes on and then we just give that a really quick combining mix for 4 seconds. Always remembering that seconds in Thermomix language or Thermomix time is a very long time. So we've just given that a beautiful, beautiful blitz to mix all those ingredients together. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I think we'll just scrape everything off the lid because that was a nice, good stir. So we'll pop that back in the bowl and we will scrape down the sides of the bowl to make sure we've got all of our yeast in our liquid, because yeast gets activated when it comes into contact with warmth and food or a nutrient. So in this case it will be us heating in the next step, and also the milk and everything else that's in there. So we will cover that up, and for 3 minutes we're going to bring it up to 50 degrees, and I just turn it on to speed 2 to get that whole guided cooking step started. So the mixture has just come up to a lovely 50-degree temperature, which is just perfect for our yeast. And then we're going to pop in 600 grams of flour. So I have pre-weighed this, but obviously you wouldn't at home, you would just weigh that in as you go. Then half a teaspoon of baking powder, then 1 teaspoon of white sugar. Again, a little bit of food for the yeast, nothing else there to actually, won't sweeten anything. Half a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to pop the lid back on. So you can see in here now, literally it's just the flour, the baking powder and the salt. And we're going to pop that on and we're going to knead this for 2 minutes. So we'll just be combining and kneading as we go. It's always fun to watch the kneading process. So I always like to sort of keep an eye on what's going on. And it always needs 6 spins one way, and then it'll turn around and do 6 spins another way. And that is basically just to copy what would happen if we were doing this by hand. So it's sort of to simulate actual hand kneading. Pretty clever. So we'll give that the 2 minutes and be back in a jiff. Okay, so next step is to tip our beautifully kneaded dough out onto our thermomat. If you don't have a thermomat, you can just use a lightly oiled bowl, but that's come out really nicely. It feels beautiful. So what we do now is we just shape it into a ball, just making sure we're doing the right thing. So shape it nicely into a ball. It's beautiful and warm. We're going to wrap it up. So the thermomats do have insulating properties within them, so they do help your dough rise. But just pop whatever you can, bowl, thermomat in a nice warm place for half an hour. And as it's rising, we can go on to the next step. While the dough is rising, I have collected all the fabulous ingredients that go into these pies, pastries, filled breads, or whatever you want to call them. Gozleme is the proper word. So we are going to go with our next step, and that is putting our bread aside. Then we are going to pop in about 150 grams of cubed tasty cheese. I've gone a smidge over. Never really can find things too cheesy. Then lid, and then we're going to quickly onto speed 9. Okay, so what we've done there is we've just crumbled our cheese. Never buy grated cheese, of course, once you have a Thermomix, because you want to avoid all the anti-caking agents that they do spray on cheese to stop it sticking together. Now I'm going to go back a step because I was talking so much. I thought I might have missed a step, and I did, which is transfer into a large bowl as such. So not a lot to see here, so you're not missing much. I've just emptied the bowl of the cheese, and setting that aside, I'm going to pop in some mint. Now, in my opinion, all Thermomix recipes are way too light on herbs. 5 sprigs is like to me, I'm going to pop in about a little handful of fresh mint. And also the same with parsley, basically a handful. I've just made so many over the years, and I've never found that however many sprigs they say is enough. 60 grams of baby spinach. I think I've gone a little bit over, but not a lot. Yep, 68. So to me, that is as good as with this one. And we'll go next. And then we will just for 2 seconds on speed 6 chop those up. So that is a lot quicker, obviously, than chopping your spinach and herbs by hand. So 2 seconds, and I can already smell the lovely herbs, the little bit of mint and a little bit of parsley. Now you won't actually taste any of these herbs individually within the dish, because they'll all just complement each other and just create a general flavor. So if you don't like mint or you don't like parsley, hang in there, because you won't even know they're in there. So 40 grams of oil going in thereabouts. Then we're going to go with 5 garlic cloves. I may have popped in 7. 1 brown onion cut into quarters. You can never have enough garlic, in my opinion, especially if it's cooked. That's done. 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. So that's a ½ teaspoon, so I need 2 of those. And then we want 1 teaspoon of ground coriander. Again, that's a ½ teaspoon, so we'll go 2 of those. I'm being a bit generous on those, but again, I think that'll be nice. A teaspoon of paprika, again, generous with that. And then we're going to pop the lid on. You might want to take a little peek. We've got a lot of exciting flavors about to blend together, I'd imagine. So 3 seconds, speed 7. Chop all of that up. Okay, now we'll go with next. Scrape down the sides of the bowl with a spatula. So we've chopped all that up really, really well in 3 seconds. We'll always marvel at this. I know I say it all the time, but how's that onion? 5 cloves of garlic, 3 seconds. Thanks very much. All right, so then we're going to pop the lid back on, and now we're going to cook or saute off our aromatics in there for 3 minutes. So we'll be back in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. sauteed, collapsed, translucent, aromatic, all those beautiful spices. So in goes 500 grams of mince. So beef, lamb, chicken, whatever you like. I always break up my mince a little bit before it goes in. And I think I've got a little bit over. I think I've got, I'll tell you what I've got in a sec. You can see that it's kind of all broken up. So don't chuck it in one big clump. I've got about 630 grams there, or 627. I'm just going to use it all because I can't see what keeping 100 grams of beef is really going to be used for. 1 tablespoon of plain flour, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Now we're going a bit light on the salt because we'll be using feta, and that is quite salty. So 10, 9, 10, and 1 for good luck of pepper, 30 grams of lemon juice, and a little bit more, but I love lemon. Okay, lid goes back on. Do you want to have a quick look? Not a lot really. On the bottom is our onion, garlic, spices, etc. 4 minutes, 100 degrees on reverse, on speed 1. So reverse will be nice and gentle, and it will just cook our meat and stir the whole time. So I can now tidy up in these 4 minutes and come back to my beautifully cooked beef. Okey-doke. Whoa, look at that. Beautiful. And that has combined gorgeously. So that is going to create part of our filling so nicely. All right, so what are we doing? Let's go scraped over and insert measuring cup onto mixing bowl lid. Then, okay, I think we need to just double check what's going on here. So what I'm going to do now is go into these 3 dots, recipe detail, and let's take a look. So dough we've made, filling we've made. This is a really good feature when you get a little bit muddled up. Okay, so we've done that. We've cooked the mince. Oh, we have to blend the mince. Scrape down bowl. Yeah, okay, so let's do that. Okie doke. That seems strange, but anyway, we're learning this together. I've not made this before. Turn seed selector and give it another 5 minutes. I didn't think it needed it. Okay, all right. Well, we'll just go with the flow. So we'll go 5 minutes on reverse. Okay, keep it cooking. So what I decided to do with that last 5 minutes is actually cook it with the measuring cup off, so that we get a little bit more moisture to evaporate, so it's a bit drier. The next step is to transfer this and let it cool. Smells gorgeous. So we are eventually going to combine this with the cheese and the herbs and the spinach, but obviously we won't do it while it's hot because it will melt everything. So I'm just going to now put this aside to cool, and then when it's almost cool I can start with the dough. So okay, so yeah, I'll just leave this for maybe, I don't know, 15-20 minutes depending, put it in a cool place and be back. Right, it's all happening. It's probably been about an hour that the dough's been rising now, because by the time I obviously prepped and cooled the mince, it took some time. So this was the original cheese and herbs, and here is approximately 250 grams of feta. I think it's a bit more. Now I've made these many times before, but not with the meat and not as the cookie dough recipe goes. I've just done this bit. So I've literally done double everything that you see in here and made cheese, feta and spinach gozleme. So if you want a vegetarian version, this is what you would do. And then you would bypass that step and you would go ahead as we are. But I am going to go with a meaty version. So in goes the meat that we've cooked up with those spices and all the garlic and the onion and all those lovely things. So So I'll try to move that out of view because we don't need that anymore. And we'll just incorporate these all together. So you can see now that wonderful combination of flavors again, which are going to be pretty amazing. So I don't know if I told you the story, but when my husband had a birthday, family birthday, I actually did not know that this recipe was on Cookie Doo, and I went and ordered 10 Gozleme for the party as finger food, and that cost me $100. So for 10. So you'll see how many you'll get today, and I promise you the unit cost of each one will be nowhere near $10. So real win for the budget, impressive thing. Okay, back in a jiff. Okay, so just needed to create a little bit of space. You can see the dough has done all sorts of beautiful things in that time. This is exactly how it is opening up on our Thermomat, which is all great. So we'll just open that like so, and then collect it all up, and then we'll bring it into a ball. It's a nice firm dough, and it needs to be, because we're going to have to pick it up with filling in it. So if you've noticed, I have removed the Thermomix and replaced it with our very trusty old, well-loved sandwich press. So if you keep looking along in the recipe, you will find that it says to pan fry these. I have always found that the sandwich press is a much better way to go. So I'm going to shape this, and I'm going to show you the way I do them. Obviously, you can do them exactly as is written in the recipe. All I'm doing here is really cleaning my Thermomat, so I'm not actually doing anything that's helping the dough. I'm just saving my cleaning for later because I'm picking up all the excess dough. That's pretty good. All right, so it doesn't really matter how big they are, because you can have some which are bigger and some which are smaller. It's totally up to you. But the best part about these is you can par cook them and then freeze them, or keep them in the fridge, and then just have them good to go, and finish off the cooking back in the snack maker when you're done. So I love that. I love that about these. So I'm just going to create a rectangle. You know, you can make them into a circle, you can make them into a square, you can pretty much make them any shape you like. So nice and thin, like that. I'll just probably just do one together, because you can just rewind and watch this again anyway. I don't think you really need me to do all of them, but I'm going to par cook these. So I'll show you what par cook looks like. So nice and thin. Okay, then we get filling and plonk on. I like a generous amount of filling. The recipe will say a couple of tablespoons. Now, I don't know, that's just like weird. So we'll just go with a nice generous filling. And as I said, this is why the dough is quite stable, because it can support this quite nicely. Now, these are nothing short of amazing. As I said, even if you bypass the meat, also really, really good. So we're going to get a similar amount of pastry, and we're going to roll out a top for this. If you wanted to do a smaller one, you could just halve it, but I tend to do it this way. It's a bit of a challenge to get it into the snack maker, but hey, you know, like, nothing like a little bit of a risky maneuver, but we'll give it a shot. Ideally, you would want a nice big rolling pin. So this one I have is a terrible advertisement for a rolling pin. We have such beautiful ones on the mix shop, but I am currently overseas at the moment. So you know what, I'm just making do, because when I come home, I'm going to have all of my lovely Creature Kitchen comforts to come back to, which will be really, really nice. So I'm trying to get these to look similar in size. I think it's probably better if you're a beginner like myself with these to actually just halve it and then you can fold it over. But not to worry, because we will just, as I said, nice, strong, firm pastry. We'll stretch it over, pop it down all very forgiving, all very gorgeous. Nothing to stress about here, no hard work. Look at that, you saw how shocking mine looked, and still it's going to be awesome. Okay, so here is the somewhat tricky little bit. We heat up our snack maker. Ours is so old it doesn't even have a switch on button. We're going to pop a little bit of ghee on there. Ideally you would want a sandwich press which doesn't have these lines, because you don't really want gozleme with lines on them, but you know, look, we're just going to go with what we've got. Then we're going to pick this up like so. As I said, nice and easy. Pop it down, and then we're going to close it. So if you wanted to cook this till it's ready, you just cook it till it's nice and golden. If you want to par cook, because obviously you can see there's going to be a lot. You're going to be making like a stack of these, which is fabulous for a party because you can pre-make them, par cook them, freeze them, pull them out, and then just, you know, as you're drinking a glass of wine, you can just sort of like, you know, have your hand on the sandwich press looking like you're in total control. But this is nowhere near ready. So let's just keep this a few more minutes. And well, hey, shall we do another one, and I'll show you the other method that might be a bit easier. So take another chunk. This might probably, in hindsight, be a somewhat easier way for just to handle it. So let's go again with the rectangle. And we'll do that. So, pardon me, a square to end up with a rectangle. That's what I mean. So we'll go with that just while we're waiting for one of ours to cook, because it'd be nice to see what one looks like. All right, so let's do this. I think this might be a bit more user-friendly. But anyway, you can see how the hard ones turn out. Not that hard. Okay, so we'll try to get it kind of, you know, symmetrical. So what we'll do then is pop our filling on half only, like this. And then, just to make life a tad easier for yourself, you can just do this. And then, that's super easy, oh how cute, to pick up and pop on. So maybe do that in hindsight. Oh, this is one gorgeous looking gozleme. So you would cut this up and you would serve this with drinks, with wine, with anything. Obviously, doesn't have to be alcohol. Do not know why I went there. This is fully cooked. This is fully superb. So I would then just remove it. I don't want to show the wrinkled side because that is actually not traditional at all. That, good people, is traditional. You can, again, pop a little bit of ghee over the top to give it a nice little glisten. I should have a knife to show you what this baby looks like inside. Let's see if I can show you with a spatula, because I want to impress you all, because this is so, so delicious and so, so good. And, yum. You really wouldn't have it that big. I'm going to cut it again because that's huge. But all sorts of impressive food to share with your family and have in the freezer ready to go. And oh my God,